Folks, welcome back to an all new episode of So Bad It's Good with Ryan Bailey. This is your pal Ryan, and this is your Thursday episode. Sorry I didn't have a Wednesday episode for you, but you got plenty of me to catch up on if you even need that. Thank you guys for everybody that supported the Secret Lives of Mormon Wives episode. That was a really special one for me, as I said, just because it was in person. It was really exciting for me. And man, four of those ladies at once. That was like a new that's a new frontier for me, trying to handle four people at once. So it was so exciting, and I hope you liked it. And I hope if you haven't watched the show yet and you do watch it at some point, go back and listen to that episode. And I'm hoping to talk to Whitney at some point. Man, Whitney, he's got to be having a rough week. I hope to talk to Taylor, Frankie, Paul, but I got to say, just right off the bat, with the support you guys give me, that's how I'm able to get some of these interviews. I mean, thank you, of course, as always, to Betches, but because I've done somewhat decent interviews with the Love Island cast members and things like that, it's really helped me. And because you guys show up to listen, this is now considered, one of the stops that they'll make, these shows will make. And I just hope we keep growing, and I hope I can make you guys proud and get better and better at this. But man, I was talking to my therapist today. This sounds like the start of a bad joke. I was talking to my therapist today, and she was asking, "Hey, do you take time ever to like be proud of, or like when do you get proud?" And like I get it in like really small moments. Like after we did it live in person last week, I think there was about 30 minutes where I was like, hell yeah. And then I get back to all the negative thoughts and the negative, like the self-doubt and just all the neural pathways that I've set up for decades upon decades. And she was like, you really got to take time to appreciate this. But what I do appreciate is you guys. That's easy. I can say that right at the top of my head all the time, is that, man, I thank God that you guys are here for me as much as you are. So I want to be able to show up for you the same way. So thank you. And listen, I'm in New York right now. I went from Cabo to New York, and I will say today is September 11th. And of course, today is the anniversary of the tragedy that took place on September 11th of 2001. And I'll talk a little bit about that in a second. Because I think we all have like kind of a story, or when this date comes every year, you remember where you were and what it was like and how scary it was. And unfortunately, we are in another political cycle right now where we're scared again, or a lot of us are scared. Like we don't know what's going to happen. And we always kind of turn against each other. And like I always say, let's not turn against each other. Let's turn against these reality stars. Let's turn against the ridiculousness of these things that we see on our screen. And hopefully we can at least agree on this, or we can have civil conversation about reality television. Listen, I get angry and upset about all this shit too, just like you guys do. But this is my solace. This is my escape. And hopefully it can be some of yours as well, especially this next couple of months, which I think it's going to get more intense and more intense. But I'm in New York, and guess who I get to talk to in the morning? I'm so nervous, you guys. I just was doing interview prep. I'm talking to Ian Sterling. And if that name doesn't sound familiar, he is the narrator of Love Island USA. You know, the amazing narrator that's like, tonight, I Love Island. And he does he's just, to me, a genius. And I get to talk to him tomorrow. And I've just been going through his entire life. I can't wait to meet him in the morning, because I get to do it in person, because I'm in New York. So I'm really, really, really excited about that, and thankful as always. How are you guys doing? Are you good? There is so much pop culture going on right now since the travel. I mean, I've tried to keep up, but I've not, like I said, it's not a normal week. So I'm sorry I'm not as, sorry I missed that Wednesday episode. I will make it up for you, as I try to always make it up to you. Okay. Anyways, enough of all that noise. Where do we start here? The VMAs were tonight. How are we still doing the Video Music Awards in the year of our Lord 2024? MTV primarily plays ridiculousness 36 hours a day. And that's not a shade on ridiculousness. We had Dave Holmes on earlier this year, who used to be an MTV VJ. He has an amazing podcast about the history of MTV, the kind of the rise and the fall. MTV is still a network, but when's the last time you've seen a block of music videos on MTV? You usually see a block of MTV ridiculousness. And of course, a little peppering of Teen Mom and Jersey Shore, which are iconic. But man, they still do these video music awards every year. And all the stars get really dressed up. And it's really exciting until you remember it's like the thing that you're celebrating doesn't really exist anymore. And believe me, I'm the first person that wants to hang on to something way past its prime. But just play music videos, you guys. If you're giving awards to it, please just show some music videos. You can still play ridiculousness, but play some music videos. But I'm talking to the kids out there, the 80s kids, the 90s kids. Remember the chokehold MTV had on us, in not terms of their reality show programming, but just music videos. Remember the first time you saw a music video that knocked you off your coal mining ass? Like, remember how you would just sit there and wait for your music video, or how TRL, The Experience. Oh my God, is Fred Durst going to interact with Christina Aguilera? I mean, is Carson Daly going to put on a good show? I mean, it was such a part of the DNA. And you think about all the stars that have risen and fallen since then. I know Eminem performed at the VMAs tonight, and he's still around. But remember the heyday of Eminem, the bleached blonde hair. I mean, everybody. I don't know. I grew up in a day where it was Michael Jackson, it was Prince, it was Madonna, it was Weird Al Yankovic, and to see how that grew and how at one point music videos made the music industry revitalized. I mean, it tripled the sales of some of these albums. I mean, all of a sudden you could put a face with the music, and it was so big. It was so important. It shaped our culture. I mean, think about Material Girl, Madonna, Like a Virgin. I mean, those VMA performances back in the day. I mean, Britney writhing around with a snake. I mean, there were so many amazing, amazing VMA moments. And you want to believe in that. We want to believe as a culture. These are the things that we look forward to. I just, at the end of the day, also think it's silly that they just don't air music videos, but they still do music video awards. Call me crazy. Now, Chappell Roan, who has had astronomical, phenomenal success in the last couple of months, she was there. She's on the cover of Rolling Stone this week, which, by the way, Rolling Stone, a magazine that used to really mean something. Love Chappell Roan, but she is in that phase of a celebrity where she's coming to terms with it. And, it shows that it's not all glitz and glamour. Be careful what you wish for. She did an interview where she said, people were stalking my family. People have come up to me and tried to kiss me. And, people are like, oh, well, you're rich. That, like blah, blah. I've talked about Chappell Roan on here before, but it's a really interesting case study in somebody pointing out, this is not normal, and this is not what I signed up for. But I think what we want sometimes with our celebrities is for them to be bigger and brighter and better than we are. And that's just impossible. We've seen it time and time again, whether it be your Britney Spears, whether it be your Justin Timberlake. These people will all rise and fall and rise again, hopefully, or just kind of fade into some sort of oblivion. But now we don't even do it with just music and actors. We do it with our reality stars. That's why I always say, pay attention to this season Love Island USA's cast, because they're so damn popular right now that it's got to mess with your head. It's just got to. I mean, I was watching Selling Sunset, the new season, which I talked a little bit about on Tuesday. And it's interesting because there's a little bit of fourth wall breaking. And there's a lot of stuff happening behind the scenes that's getting brought out onto the storyline. And for me, I wish they even did it more, because it's way more entertaining. And our guest today, by the way, we have an amazing guest, Kay Brown. You might know her as Kay York City on Instagram. And also she is one of the hosts of Betch's The Bachelor, which is an amazing podcast that talks about all the Bachelor franchises, Bachelor, Bachelorette, Golden Bachelor. And she's on to talk about last week's finale. But even with the finale and Jen Tran, so much stuff has happened this week in terms of the story that you're like, why aren't the cameras still rolling? You know, it's like we're given the story of the Bachelorette, and then the show ends and the story continues. And it seems to be more intense, more dramatic than the actual series. And like I've always talked about with Bravo, is that how do we throw a lasso around these shows and be able to, and I know I don't make any money off of it, how do we monetize these things that happen off camera? Because the things that happen off camera are now sort of or becoming more interesting than these packaged storylines that they give us. How do we make it so it's not like me, Joe Schmo, talking about it, is telling you about it? How do we make it so the show itself is able to tell you the story of the show itself and afterwards? Does that make sense? Wow, really on a high horse tonight, you guys. Okay. I'll talk a little bit about the VMAs a little bit more in 1 second. I just wanted to talk about September 11th. And I know you're like, oh shit. But I just wanted to talk about it because I was thinking about it today. And I don't know if I've told you this story, but like I said at the beginning, is that everybody remembers where they were, right? Everybody remembers. And it wasn't like, I was young. I was young, you think about it like innocence. And after that day, a lot of like people's innocence were lost. We lost 2,996 people in the September 11 attacks. And I'm in New York right now, and it's been interesting because it's such a beautiful day in New York City right now. And then just a mile away, these are where these attacks happened. And of course, it was 4 coordinated Islamist terrorist suicide attacks carried out by Al Qaeda against the United States. 19 terrorists hijacked 4 commercial airliners scheduled to travel from the East Coast to California. And that's what a lot of us woke up to on that day. And I was thinking about that because it was such a weird summer for me that summer. I remember I had gotten out of a 7-year relationship that had started in high school, and I did not know what the F I was doing. I moved back to Arizona. I was living with my parents. I was doing a play with my best friend Dusty, who is amazing, and he written this performance art play piece. And I went to Arizona for the summer, and I acted in that, and it really helped me get my mind off of everything. And I still had an agent, right? Like I used to have an agent where I would do like commercial auditions and things. And this is like internet existed, but not in the way that it did now. Like we had cell phones, but not in the way that we do now. In fact, I remember because I had this cell phone from T-Mobile and I didn't realize about roaming. And I had a $2,000 bill for 1 month of phone calls because I didn't realize at that time you couldn't go to like Arizona and make calls if you were based in Los Angeles. It was completely ridiculous. Thank God I had booked a Sears commercial, and that's where my residual money went to. But I didn't tell my agents that I was living in Arizona that summer. But I wasn't like I was getting auditions like every day, but I would get them occasionally. And then I would just drive out to LA. I would drive out to LA, stay with my friend Susie, and do the audition. Most of the time I wouldn't get them, or I wouldn't even get a call back. I mean, if you got a call back, that even sucked even more because you'd have to drive back out 2 days later. But I was driving out there. What was it for? What commercial was it for? I don't think it wasn't TGI Fridays. Forgot what it was. Anyways, I remember driving all night to get to Los Angeles for the commercial audition the next day. And my plan was do the audition and then drive right back to Arizona and go back to rehearsals for the play. I got in, I think around 3 a.m, went to sleep, and then it was on my friend Susie's futon in her living room. And I remember her waking me up, I think like 8 or 7 or so early in the morning saying, hey, I got to turn on the news. A plane has crashed. A plane has crashed, or something of that nature. And I was so tired. I was like, well, planes, that happens. And then another plane had hit, as we all remember. And then I was up. And I just remember being glued to CNN. And I don't know if you remember, but in Los Angeles, there were all of these rumors going around the whole day. Like if you listen to K Rock, which was like the big radio station at the time, they said that there was something happening at LAX. There was rumors everywhere that there was terrorist attacks everywhere. Obviously, it was the Pentagon and the World Trade Center, but there were these rumors that it was happening in Los Angeles as well. Like everything was crazy. And I remember we went up to the roof on our apartment building, and we were just looking out over the city, and it was just eerily quiet. It reminded me a lot of like during the pandemic, right? At certain moments where, I mean, I remember living in Los Angeles off of Melrose, and it was just quiet, which is so scary to hear, especially when you live in Los Angeles, because Los Angeles, it can be a noisy town. And you're just looking for every little piece of information that you can get from the news. And we were just so in the dark about so many things. And it was scary. I remember just being very scared. And then you're thinking about those people in the buildings and watching some of them having to jump, and just these horror stories that we learned more and more about the victims as the years went on, and just how horrific it was, but how we came together at that time, really as a nation. And I hope that's how you felt, because that's even how I felt. I mean, listen, I was never a George Bush fan, really, definitely was not. But I remember that speech he gave in the rubble a couple days later, where I was actually inspired. Like it was one of the only times that I was like, should I join the army? Which my dad, that was like one of his major things, is like, you can do anything you want in your life, but I'm never going to let you join the armed forces. And it's not out of any disrespect to anybody that serves in the armed forces. It was just that my dad went to Vietnam and he watched a lot of people die, and he just never wanted me to see that. But I remember thinking like, man, I got to fight for this country. I got to fight for this country. And it was just such already this weird summer of all of this stuff, this breakup that was happening. And I remember it was so stupid because September 11th, I remember excited about the audition and just about like, hey, maybe there is a chance for me as an actor out in Los Angeles. And maybe I don't have to stay in Arizona with my family after this summer. And I ended up moving back to Los Angeles in the fall regardless. But I remember what I was looking forward to that day was that there was so much good music coming out. I've always been, like, a pop culture fan. And I was going over this because I found it fascinating how many amazing albums came out that day. Do you guys remember this? If you're old enough to remember this, these are the albums that came out September 11th, 2001. You had Jay-Z's The Blueprint album, one of his best albums of all time, period. You had Bob Dylan's album, Love and Theft. You had Mariah Carey's album, Glitter. You had Nickelback's album, Silver Side Up. And then a personal favorite of mine, Ben Folds' first solo album, Rockin' the Suburbs. These all came out on September 11th. And it just goes to show also what a different world we were living in. You think about the Blueprint album, which, there was meaning in it, but there was so much fun in it. There was like kind of reckless abandon in this. I mean, Nickelback, just these Canadian rockers that, just had power chords. And I think things after that day, they took on a whole different weight. I think we all looked at ourselves a little bit differently and looked at the world a little bit differently. And listen, it kind of is another thing that makes you face your own privilege. Like, listen, I'm a white straight dude. Like, I grew up middle class. I grew up, with everything. And it made me think about things in such a different way. And it also made me appreciate the things that I love that much more. I don't know why I'm telling you any of this, and it might not mean anything to you, but I just wanted to say to you that I know you guys all have a story, and it's important to remember those things. Even 23 years later, it's important to remember that and to honor those people that lost their lives on that day. And I know we lose people all the time. And hopefully we can find a time at some point, if not already, to come together and be proud as Americans. And I hate that I kind of wince when I say that because everything is so politically charged right now. But I just want to remind you how much good there is out there, how much love there is out there. I'm giving myself douche chills right now, but please, I hope you take this um, um, as just somebody that is trying to think out loud and remind myself that there is still so much good. And even if it is in those small things, like your favorite reality show or your favorite musician, that counts. We all have somebody that is in our life right now that we love dearly. There's so many good things to look forward to. And hopefully we can go through this next couple of months reminding ourselves of that. Okay, full douche chills. I'm done. I'm done. Let's get to some pop culture stories. Okay, let's get to a little pop culture roundup so you don't have to listen to me cry and moan. Okay, Maritza put together an amazing list of stories. Also, a reminder, go support Maritza's new podcast, Love is Latino, which covers the season of Love is Blind Mexico, which I listened to the first episode. I'm so proud of her. I can't wait to see how this show grows, how she grows. So go support. I'm trying to convince her to come on here, but I think she's embarrassed of me or something like that. Okay, here we go. Jessica Simpson. You know Jessica Simpson. Speaking of MTV, Newlyweds was an iconic MTV reality show. Why don't they just have an MTV channel where they just play their old reality shows? I mean, throw VH1 reality shows in there, and I don't think I'd watch anything else ever. It's truly amazing. So get this, a Jessica Simpson documentary is in the works. This is actually really exciting news. I read Jessica Simpson's autobiography, or I listened to the audiobook, and I thought it was pretty damn good. I remember listening to that during the pandemic, and I hate to admit it, I'm not even the biggest Jessica Simpson music fan, but I found her her autobiography really amazing. And I think it inspired autobiographies like Britney Spears, etc. So there is a documentary in the works about her life, and it's going to be a multi-part documentary about her musicianship, her being an entrepreneur, a philanthropist, and a best-selling author. I wonder if there's going to be like one whole part about her relationship with John Mayer, because in her autobiography, you're like, oh my God, that relationship. So the production is currently underway on this documentary. It is described as a raw, intimate, and unprecedented look into Simpson's personal journey, revealing private moments, exploring the recent highs and lows of her life, including personal revelations, successes, and heartbreaks that have never been shared with the public. Especially in the book, she talks about her excessive drinking at one point as well. So I think this is going to be really, really good. I mean, think about even her dad, Joe Simpson. Remember when Joe showed up on an episode of Vanderpump Rules to take photos of Tom Sandoval? Like, what's up, dude? I've got Joe Simpson taking my photos, dude. So this is going to be a really interesting look, especially if they get real with it, if they really show us the inner workings of everything that we've kind of wondered about her life, especially in this last decade. Okay, so we have that. That's amazing. And then, guys, we have big news. And this is just to show you that bridges don't always have to be burned forever. Bridges can be built again. And that is because Nene Leaks has returned to the NBC Universal family. And what I mean by that is she is going to be hosting the E Entertainment Television, their Emmys after party special. Now, E is part of the NBC Universal umbrella, and she is going to be co-hosting with the belle of the ball this year, Miss Ariana Madix. So Ariana Madix and Nene Leaks hosting. I got to tell you, as the years go by, I don't really watch coverage, except for like sometimes red carpet stuff. But I will be seated and tuned in for this. But that's really exciting. And I wonder if there had, because there was rumblings, obviously she had a lawsuit, against Bravo at one point. And she has now dropped the lawsuit. She dropped it in August of 2022, but she claimed that Bravo and Andy Cohen had a hostile and racist environment in the workplace. But she is now returning to the fold. And one could hope that if this goes well, you just don't know. Could we possibly see ever a return to Real Housewives of Atlanta for Miss Nene Leaks? And would you guys be down for that? I know I would. Listen, I know, sometimes with these characters, it's like football. You have your favorites, and then you have your people that you can't stand. And sometimes your favorites turn into people that you can't stand. But I love this because there's always room for forgiveness. There's always room to be welcomed back into the fold. And I got to say, I think Nene Leaks will be flippin-tastic in this. And this is going to be next week, right? I think the Emmys this weekend? They did the Creative Arts Emmys this past week. So I think it's this weekend, if I'm not mistaken. I've been a little busy, but I think it's going to be really, really exciting. Now, Nene was on Carlos King's Reality with the King podcast a while back. Now, Carlos was on this podcast, So Bad It's Good, last week. And this was a quote she had with him in that interview. She said, "I don't have any hard feelings. I'm a Sagittarius, so at some point I may be mad with you, but then I get over it. I'm not the kind of girl that carries a grudge or holds the grudge forever. I'm also not an ass kisser. I hate that we're in this place. I really wish it was a way for us to find our way back to each other because, life is short and you just don't want to carry ill feelings for the rest of your life. You don't have to work together to do anything, but it would be nice to either just work through the issues. And if I had to go back to Real Housewives of Atlanta, it will be 100% for the fans. The check is not a bad check, although I think my check should be bigger. The check is not a bad check." End of quote. So I'm really excited about this. And I think a lot of people are excited about this. So this is going to air this weekend. It'll be 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. That's 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Oh my gosh. Get ready to stay up late, you guys. But I think Nene Leaks is worth it. Now, here's another fun one, is that Adam Sandler, one of my fashion icons, he is doing a sequel to one of my favorite comedy films, Happy Gilmore, but this is going to be directly a Netflix movie, Happy Gilmore 2. And the cast has so many of the old cast returning, Shooter McGavin, etc. But guess who is going to make he's done a couple of small roles. He did 2021 Netflix's Narcos Mexico, but Bad Bunny, yes, the artist Bad Bunny, is going to be joining Adam Sandler in Happy Gilmore 2. Now, the first one came out in 1996. The artist born Benito Antonio Martinez Ocasio will be joining this film. There is not a lot known about who he is going to play. Now, he had signed up for a Spider-Man movie. It was like an offshoot Spider-Man character, but that film got canceled. And I believe that was through Sony. Also, Travis Kelce, I don't know if you know of this gentleman, Travis Kelce. I hear he's a football player. Not sure anything else about him, but he is also going to be in Happy Gilmore 2. But Adam Sandler posted a photo of Happy Gilmore's iconic hockey jersey the other day. And the caption read, "It ain't over. The way I see it, we've only just begun." So hell yeah, that's good. Adam Sandler makes me laugh my ass off. In fact, Adam Sandler's new comedy special, I think it's called I Love You, Man. It hit Netflix 2 weeks ago, and it's really funny. It's silly, funny. The dude is just there's so many special things about Adam Sandler. First off, to be able to survive in this industry for close to 4 decades now, starting off at SNL. I mean, remember back then there was an MTV show called Remote Control. It was like Dave Quinn, but Adam Sandler was in that. It was a game show on MTV. And then Adam Sandler got SNL, and then he got started with the movie career. He did like Airheads. Remember that movie with Brendan Fraser and Steve Buscemi? And then he did Billy Madison, which is a classic, and then into Happy Gilmore. And nobody expected Happy Gilmore to do what it did, and it blew up. And he's ever since then become a movie star. And on top of that, Adam Sandler is a damn good actor. I mean, watch Uncut Gems, watch Punch Drunk Love with Paul Thomas Anderson directing. Just fantastic fucking movies and just a great actor. So I always support Adam Sandler. Now, here's a little bit of a funny personal story. Back in the day when I was in college, I would come out, I've told you, on summers. I just told you, a 9/11 one. But I would work on movie sets, and I worked on the film, one of his worst films. After he had made all of these hits, he made Big Daddy, he made all this. I worked on a film called Little Nicky, where he played the son of Satan, and I was one of the demons, and it was the best gig ever. Because you had to get all this like crazy demon makeup every day, and we shot at the Arboretum past Pasadena, and it was such a fantastic job. But what I learned also was just how cool Adam Sandler was. All of his buddies from college work with him. They're like in his films, producers on his film, and he would just be chill, man. He would have his bulldog with him all the time. He would always like have the In-N-Out truck come and give everybody like In-N-Out burgers. And he just set up this environment of just relaxed funniness. I met Rodney Dangerfield in his last film role ever, and you could tell the respect Adam Sandler had for Rodney Dangerfield because it was really hard for him to walk at that time. Harvey Keitel was there. I got to meet Harvey Keitel. It wasn't really a great movie, but man, that was a summer I will never forget. So I will always love Adam Sandler. Okay, on to some other news. You know, Kim Zolciak Beerman right now. If you listen to the interview this week with comments by celebs, Emma Diamond, she loves this season of The Surreal Life, which, by the way, Maritza loves this season of The Surreal Life too. I've got like one episode into it. I need to watch it, especially after their recommendations. But Kim Zolciak Beerman's in there, and she's heavily flirting with Tom Hanks' son, Chet Hanks. But of course, she's also fighting with her husband. I don't know what they are at this point. Are they separated? Are they divorced? Croy Beerman, who I thought they were forever. I really did. I'm not going to say they were in goals, but like they're, in game. But I really never thought they would split. And it has been insane, their relationship for this last year. It's involved a lot of police. We see a lot of body cam footage from police officers. Well, Croy on Instagram this Monday, September 9th, he wrote, "I will never stop praying for Kim, but I will no longer stay silent. I was isolated, imprisoned, and silenced for almost 13 years. What's been mentioned in court motions is only the tip of the iceberg." In the at TMZ TV, there was a TMZ interview, a walk and talk with Kim, where, according to him, she was spouting a lot of nonsense. He said, in the TMZ interview, you are witnessing narcissistic shaming abuse. So that leads us to believe things still aren't good. Sorry, we'll find out. But man, what a mess. And especially, listen, we all have messes at one point or another with our relationships. Hopefully not, but it happens to a lot of us. The hard thing with these reality television stars and entertainment people is that they take it into the public. It gets everywhere. You got the TMZs, you got the Daily Mails, you got the Us Weeklies, you got this podcast. It's everywhere. So it all of a sudden becomes our problem. And we're worrying, are Kim and Croy okay? How are they paying the bills? They got to sell that house. She has too many crystals. She bought too many. I mean, I remember that one season of their spinoff on Bravo where they were like in an RV and then she was buying like $30,000 worth of crystals. I bet she wishes she had that crystal money now, but I hope they're going to be okay. I don't think they're going to be together ever, and I don't think they should be, but hopefully they'll be okay because there's kids involved. Okay, what do we got here? Kathy Hilton dares Tiffany Haddish to walk the runway at New York Fashion Week. Have you seen this video? This is wild, you guys. Tiffany Haddish, obviously, we've seen her hanging out with Kathy Hilton a lot over this last year and a half. She was at like her Christmas party. She always shows up, but like Kathy Hilton dared her to get up on the runway at Monce's Spring 2025 show during the Fashion Week. And Tiffany Haddish did it. Now, Paris and Nikki were sitting front row with Kathy when this dare happened. And, New York Post says the hilarious moment was caught on video and shared by Paris. Anyways, you can hear Kathy going, right now, to Haddish, and Haddish is like, right now, and the Hilton daughters, they're cracking up, with the exchange. Um, and I will tell you that, on its face, it's kind of funny, but at the same time, there's this vibe of like, Tiffany Haddish isn't your show pony. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like when somebody is, you tell like your favorite actor of like, do that line from the film, do it, do it, do it. And you're like, they're a person. Come on. It's like sometimes Kathy Hilton, she has this really wicked, wicked sense of humor, which we've seen exhibited on Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. I mean, she seems like she considers herself a prankster. Remember the martini prank? But this, I don't know. Like a lot of people laughed, but at the same time, it was kind of, I don't know. For me personally, it read kind of embarrassing, and it kind of read of like, Tiffany, don't listen. Yeah, it was just, it seemed like a mess. Did you guys see this? Go watch the video. Let me know what you think of this. I was, I don't know. Anyways, as I told you last week, Real Housewives of Miami has begun filming their season 7. It looks like everybody is returning except for Dr. Nicole. Dr. Nicole is not returning to Real Housewives of Miami. Now, she just had her child a couple of months ago, and a happy, healthy baby. And I'm bummed because to me, Dr. Nicole was what I call, a voice of reason, a reliable narrator. And she was that middle of the road housewife that I think you do need in these shows to kind of battle the extremities of people like Adriana or Alexia. You need these characters to be that middle of the road character. But at the same time, even when I was talking about the show when it aired, I was like, I don't know if Dr. Nicole needs this. Her husband literally has a fucking private jet with his face on it, which I mean, I remember at the time going, hey man, after Tom Girardi, I questioned everybody with a private jet. Like, and I was like, maybe we shouldn't be bragging about how much we have. So Dr. Nicole, I don't know if it was her choice. I don't know if she was not asked back. I have to imagine it was her choice because I don't know why they would not have her back otherwise. I don't know how you guys feel, but I thought she was a really solid housewife. So I'm very, very sad to see her go, but I'm very happy that the show is currently. And on that same notion, Real Housewives of Miami's Alexia, remember she's, split with her husband, Todd Nipola, which we saw their wedding on the show and that big yacht party. It turns out they're still hanging out, man. They were all over each other on their getaway. They had a vacation getaway. This is from an article on Reality T where they are like, they seem hot and heavy with each other. They spent their entire holiday weekend at the Breakers in Palm Beach, a source said. They didn't leave the hotel once, which means they were doing a lot of hippity dippity. So listen, one source says they were cozying up to each other during a romantic dinner. Page 6 called their insider a spy. They said the Miami couple apparently wasn't doing too much to hide their behavior. Quote, they weren't shy about packing on the PDA, even kissing, cuddling, and holding hands in front of fellow hotel guests. How demure. Yeah, nice. They were all over each other. The source reiterated their chemistry is still off the charts. What source, by the way, what source says, by the way, page 6, I got to tell you, their chemistry off the charts. Like, what actual person says that? Did this come directly from Alexia? So who knows where they are in their separation or divorce? We'll obviously see this as cameras are rolling now, but it looks like they're still hot and heavy. So God bless. Listen, there are so many other stories. I wanted to, of course, give just a quick nod to James Earl Jones, the fantastic actor. He passed away a couple of days ago at the age of 93 years old. We know him, of course, as the voice of Darth Vader and also Mufasa in The Lion King. But this man was just a fantastic actor. I mean, you think even like his comedic roles, Coming to America, but also Field of Dreams, The Sandlot, The Hunt for Red October. And he had been acting most of his life. And did you know this about James Earl Jones? Is that he was a stutterer? Did you know that? This is a quote from him about his stuttering. He says, I stuttered badly, and so I retreated and lived in a world of silence rather than speak when he was a child. He eventually overcame it with the help of a teacher. When James Earl Jones, he started writing poetry, and that encouraged him to read it out loud. In his memoir, Voices and Silences, Jones explained, "The written word is safe for the stutterer. The script is a sanctuary." And I thought that was just beautiful. What a beautiful way to talk about the written word. Now, his big break was in a play called The Great White Hope, which premiered in 1967. And this role as Jack Jefferson, it earned him the Tony Award for Best Actor in 1969. And then it was adapted into a movie in 1970. It also earned him a Golden Globe win and an Academy Award nomination. And he was the second Black actor to receive an Oscar nomination after the amazing Sidney Poitier. Throughout his career, he did Shakespeare, playing in Othello and King Lear. He said this about being in Shakespeare's King Lear. He says, "If it bothers someone that I'm Black and playing King Lear, it isn't because there's something wrong with me. It's their problem," which I thought was incredible. But of course, we will always hold a special place because of Darth Vader and Mufasa. But also, he just seemed like a giant of a man. And he seemed very, very kind. So you done good, James Earl Jones. What an inspiration and what a amazing life that he was able to lead. So hopefully in heaven, by the way, Mom, if you're listening in heaven, go up and say hi to James Earl Jones for me, okay? Please do that. And then finally, I wanted to, even though we got 30 more stories here, I'll fold that into Friday's episode. I wanted to talk about something that I got a lot of text messages about, and obviously a lot of you guys are talking about it. And it's not Taylor Swift endorsing Donald Trump. It's not about the debates. But I do want to let you know that Taylor Swift did just win a VMA for she won a VMA for video. Oh, what did she win? She won a video for she won Video of the Year. Taylor Swift did. And in her acceptance speech, she thanked her boyfriend, or maybe her fiance, Travis Kelce. She said, "Everything this man touches turns to happiness and fun and magic. So I want to thank him." So yeah, wow. Travis, if you're listening, please touch me. I would like to be turned into happiness and fun and all of that stuff. So this Taylor, what a week. I'm sorry. I hate to keep laughing, but I just still think it's kind of funny. They're giving out video music awards in this day and age. Just show the videos, MTV. That's all I want you to do. Just show the videos one day a week. That's all we ask for. Okay. Finally, I do not want to talk about this. I hate this. Because I don't know. Like, I don't know what. I've talked a lot about this man on this show. I'm talking about Dave Grohl. He is the lead singer of the Foo Fighters, of course, the drummer of Nirvana. One of my heroes in entertainment. I loved his book, The Storyteller, which I highly recommend, especially on audiobook. And he just seems like, not a simple guy, but just a guy out there wanting to rock. 3 chords and the truth, living through Nirvana and then making Foo Fighters, which turned out to be a band that has kind of stood the test of time over these last couple of decades. And of course, had the tragedy of losing their drummer, Taylor Hawkins, a couple of years ago, which was just heartbreaking. I've seen these guys so many times live in concert. And Dave Grohl always makes me laugh. And it turns out, I don't know if you've done the research here, but it turns out Dave Grohl, hold on here, is a man. Dave Grohl is a man, unfortunately. And he admitted in an Instagram post a couple of days ago, this was the post that he wrote and posted on Instagram to his 1.5 million followers. He writes, "I've recently become the father of a new baby daughter born outside of my marriage. I plan to be a loving and supportive parent to her. I love my wife and my children, and I am doing everything I can to regain their trust and earn their forgiveness. We're grateful for your consideration towards all the children involved as we move forward together, Dave." Now, it appears that Dave Grohl's eldest daughter deactivated her Instagram account. His other daughter, Violet, actually is a background singer in the Foo Fighters. And people don't know if she actually shut down her account or she's just not active on Instagram. This, of course, is all about his wife, Jordan Bloom, and they've been married since 2003. They have 3 kids, the youngest being Ophelia at the age of 10. And it is one of those things. It, it's I don't know. I was trying to think about this because, there are a lot of guys that I look up to, or I have looked up to, or I make the mistake of looking up to. And I'm even including myself in this. And, it's sometimes weirdly crushing to realize that they're real people, they're fallible, they're not superheroes, and that they can cause a lot of hurt and a lot of pain to people that I presume that he loves very dearly. And, you can make all the excuses in the world. He's a rock star. What do you expect? Oh, he's a good, like, oh, we thought there was oh, is there no good men out there? No, there probably isn't. There probably isn't. There probably isn't. I mean, Tom Hanks. I mean, go and look at Tom Hanks, who I love dearly as an actor. He even had an infidelity that never has fully been admitted to. And, obviously, since he is in the public eye, we'll probably find out a lot more about this. The baby has been born. We don't know who the woman that bore this child is. We don't know her age. We don't know her name. And hopefully they're probably trying to protect this information, but it'll come out. And I don't know. I don't know if Dave Grohl is a serial cheater. I don't know any of these things. But I got to tell you, I was shocked. I was shocked. And I was really trying to think about it because, does it change the way I listen to his music? I don't, does it change, and what do these people owe us? Because we know he owes his family a whole hell of a lot. And he's obviously failed his family a lot. And he has to deal with that and live with that. And that shit, can eat you up. But obviously, it seems like he wants to keep his marriage going with his wife, Jordan. And, obviously they've known about this for a while. And this has finally officially come out. I just wanted to talk about it because I've talked about the Foo Fighters actually quite a bit on this show, and Dave Grohl in particular. And I don't really know how I feel about this yet. Like, yeah, I'm bummed. I want to believe in superheroes, but I got to tell you, and if you're a guy, don't be all pissed off. I think the people that we should be really looking up to in this day and age, and I'm not saying that they're infallible all day, but we gotta really start looking up to women way more than we do. Period. And I'm not saying women are without fault, because women would even tell you that that is not true. But I will say 9 out of 10 times, women are more thought out. They are able to usually make the right emotional decision at a certain point, or kind of lead you in the right direction. And there are so many women in my life that I have looked up to that I have not been able to emulate. Starting off obviously with my mom, but so many people. But maybe we need to take the foot off the gas in admiring any man for a little bit of time. Doesn't mean we don't have to love them. Doesn't mean we can't consume their entertainment. Doesn't mean any of that. We all love some man out there, and there's nothing wrong with that. But maybe we should just start looking up to women a lot, and I mean a lot more. And I say that for myself as well. Okay, enough of this BS. Sorry to get all weirdly sappy and emotional with you today. But let's get into a little bit of talk about the Bachelor franchise. Kay Brown is amazing. If you don't know her, you're about to listen to her. She hosts, like I said, a great podcast on the Betches Network called The Bachelor with Jared Freese. Jared Freed and producer Jazz, and they've got such a nice chemistry, a really funny chemistry. And I'm so excited to hear them start talking about the Golden Bachelorette, which airs next week. So we got a lot to look forward to. But what we're talking about is Jen Tran's season, a lot of this, even though we dip into so many other things, including Vanderpump Rules and The Valley and some general pop culture. But this guy Devin, like they got engaged, and this guy Devin is a schmuck. He's a schmuck. And now Devin is out there just yesterday trying to like plead his case, revealing even more text messages that were personal between them. And I'm telling you, it's just another thing where I'm like, man, us guys, we are thick in the fucking skulls. We don't know what are you doing, Devin? Just chill out, disappear for a bit, chill out. I know celebrity is a fun thing to have and you want to protect it, but man, just decompress and try to figure out where you've gone wrong in this entire situation. But go follow K York City, and of course, listen to their podcast, rated 5 stars on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And that's it, you guys. Wish me luck with the Ian Sterling interview today. And then tonight, I'm going to do that before the 90 days, the 90-day fiance cruise. And I think some of your other favorite podcasters are going to be out there. The Reality Gaze, Mary Payne from Pink Shade. So I'm excited to hang out with all of them. I hope you have the best Thursday ever, and I will talk to you very, very soon. Bye.